Hey, everybody. Linda Bean, Outreach Coordinator from the Dolan Fund. Thanks for joining us on Shining a Light today. Beautiful day out. Today is National Nurses Day. From the Dolan Fund family, we want to just give a shout out, send our love, our everyday modern heroes during a very challenging year. So if you are a nurse, know a nurse, see one today, give them a fist bump, elbow bump, virtual hug, sending our love your way. Making our way into our topic today, it's a perfect segue. A few weeks ago, we featured the family of a little boy with a rare genetic condition. There he is, Connor. And they're in for the fight of their life. They are raising $3 million. He has Sanfilippo syndrome, a rare genetic condition, which is really likened to children's Alzheimer's. Imagine you would spare no expense to get the treatment that your child needs. If Connor ends up being eligible for this clinical trial, they'll be traveling to Texas for treatment. The costs just mount. And so today I would like to welcome one of our collaborating organizations from the community, Host for Hospitals, that helps to offset that burden a little bit. I want to welcome to the studio. Hey, Michael.
Hi, Linda, and thank you so much for having us, and Sarah for setting this up.
Oh, you bet. So I'm welcoming Michael Eichenbaum, who's the executive director from Hosts for Hospitals, and we're going to get really into the nuts and bolts of the organization. But tell me a little bit about Hosts for Hospitals, Michael. There's a good backstory.
Well, actually, I didn't know it was National Nurses Day because I had a nurse 33 years ago. I'm getting emotional, actually. Her name was Rosa. She helped me through my fears and chills. But 33 years ago, my wife and I, we had two boys, 8 months old and 28 months old, living in Ann Arbor. And I had not been feeling well for about 6 months. And I drove an hour to Detroit to my business. And we told me that I didn't eat well, so she had dinner ready for me. And I came home and I sat down at the table, and there's a salad there. And I put my hand into the bowl to take the salad out. I didn't see the server. I didn't see my salad bowl to put the salad in. I put it on the table, literally. And then I was looking for the salad dressing. I didn't see it. It was right in front of me. But I had wanted to pour the salad dressing on top of the salad that was sitting on the table. My wife's looking at me like, oh, my God. I moved over to the couch, and my 8-month-old son crawled over to me. I looked down at him. My 28-month-old son was sitting at the table. I looked at him. I looked at the one down below and the one over there. And then I said to my wife, his name's David. I can't remember his name.
Wow.
And I saw the doctor. The next day he said, don't let him get back in the car. And the next day I went to University of Michigan Medical Center, and the head of oncology said I had acute leukemia and that nothing could be done for me. Wow. And after a month, we went to Sloan Kettering in Manhattan. I was there for 8 months. I got a bone marrow transplant. My brother was my donor, and I was cured. But it cost my family $45,000 in today's dollars for my wife, my mom, and my 2 children to stay there. That was 1989. And then in the mid-90s, I learned about a program in Boston called the Hospitality Program that lodged patient families at people's private homes. My oldest son got bar mitzvah in 99, and a part of his money they got him for gifts, we gave to the hospitality program, and I and they started talking. And I realized, given my skill set and how both Boston and Philadelphia are meccas for medical care, people come all around the world, I realized I could set this up in Philadelphia. And we had moved to Philadelphia from Michigan because my wife's from here. So in the year 2000, we set up the organization, myself and 2 other people. And up to when the pandemic began, we had lodged over 3,700 patient families in people's private homes.
What an incredible, inspiring backstory. I think of our founder, Peggy Dolan. Through your lived experience, you saw a need and the need to kind of pay it forward and help others. And, by creating this organization in the community, you really have helped to offset the costs associated with travel, because as I mentioned, spare no expense. You're going to go, you were told there was nothing that could be done. and you made your way to Sloan Kettering to a brilliant, team of doctors who, were able to chart a path forward for you, and here you are. So tell me a little bit about today, fast forward, 2 decades later, the mission and vision behind Houston Hospitals. Has it changed much? Is it still the same?
It's the same, only more intense.
Okay.
The mission is to have low-cost housing, but most importantly, also caring support for patient families. But again, I like to use the word Mecca. There are so many people coming here to so many hospitals that we can lodge many, many more people. So our vision is to keep growing our host network. And we're going to talk about how we have 2 networks now during the time of COVID. But the more housing units we have available, the more people we can help, bottom line.
Absolutely. Are there any eligibility requirements for, how does a family seek your?
Yeah, the process is pretty easy. They just still get in touch with us, and they can do it by phone or online. We're a team of 4 people. My patient family specialist, Barbara, is great. And we're very laid back because we don't want people to feel like they're dealing with bureaucracy, but just they can relax, and we kind of help them because our point is we're trying to help you. So we find out what their needs are. Any support person can qualify. A patient can qualify if they can take care of themselves independently or with the help of a support person. We get character references for all of our guests. The guests have to live, we don't have a mileage requirement, but that wherever they live, it's too difficult for them to get to the hospital, basically the idea. And then they have to have a home to go back to. So they can't be homeless because we can't help everybody in the world. So.
Sure. And I know, to be clear, you where the Dolan Fund is primarily helping children, you're really across the life spectrum of helping, families with lodging.
That's the great thing about our program. There are a lot of great lodging resources. The Ronald McDonald Houses, the Hope Family Lodge for cancer patients, the Gift of Life Transplant for transplant. They have their, defined population groups. We'll take almost any patient type and almost any age type. So Ronald McDonald, of course, only for kids. Hope Family Lodge, only for cancer. But we also, because we have so many different types of lodging units, we don't have any limitation on the size of the family.
Right.
So we've lodged during the COVID a family of 9 and 2 families of 7, for example. We also don't have a limitation on the length of time. So another family that your audience may know about, because this was featured in the Inquirer back in 2019, was a young girl, 2-3 days old, literally, from South Carolina, got transferred to CHOP, and had to live what seemed to be her whole life at CHOP. And Ramadan House had a rule: after 1 year, you can't stay there any longer. Well, we lodged that family for 2 years at a host home. And another example, it just came in yesterday, we got a request for someone who has to stay in town waiting for a lung transplant. They have to relocate to be nearer to the hospital to qualify to be on the list. They're at the Gift of Life Transplant House. They love it there. But the rule is, while you're waiting for transplant, you can only stay there 9 months, and they're 6 months in, and now they're requesting lodging from our program to get ahead of the game.
Yeah, I know the parameters, have changed. We've got many families that access Ronald McDonald House. As you know, we're collaborating on a family right now. And because of COVID, you can only have one caregiver come back and forth through the Ronald McDonald House to keep people, safe. And those parameters may change. But when you have a family of formerly conjoined twins that have severe special needs, and you need a team to be able to support you and help you get back and forth to medical appointments to get some respite time. And I know we are collaborating on that case right now, which is terrific. I think we're looking right now at the Delaney twins right there, who are 4 right now. If there's somebody out there that's listening, this sounds so fabulous, Michael. I think the first question is going to be, is there a cost associated?
Well, we have a standard fee of $20 per night for the entire patient family. We had it before COVID, we have it now, and that's how we pay our couple staff people. But other than that, it's a home away from home for these people. And when we think about what the benefit of this is, there's a cost savings. But for example, I learned when I was a patient, it was okay for my wife and my mother to go to a movie because you got to get a break from a medical situation.
Yeah.
And I invite your audience to go to YouTube, to our Host for Hustles YouTube page. And there's a little question there you can put in the thing. And if you have paper with you, write down these three things. Write down hugs from Ella. That's one. Secondly, write down I almost cried at the kindness. And then write down a friend I hadn't met yet. And if you do that, 3 different videos are going to come up. Hugs from Ella involved a woman from New York, her husband, very bad situation at Hop, and she would come home every night, and the dog Ella would greet her at the door, and she would sleep in bed with her. Best friend I hadn't met yet is a woman from Louisiana. Her 16-year-old daughter is going to CHOP for the pain management program, and the mother said of her host, it was like a best friend I just hadn't met yet. And then the one I almost cried at the kindness is a woman also from New York. Her daughter, adult daughter, was in the headache clinic at Methodist, part of the Jefferson system. And when she came home at night, her host family had 2 3-year-old twin boys. And she said, I used to hear them playing through the walls, and it was so lovely to be in a normal home when you're trapped in a medical situation.
Yeah, that just captures it. Those testimonials, I mean, I think just really capture the essence of just, if it's just for a night or a few moments, a departure from, all of the medicine, the hospital life, treatment. And I know I've looked at the website kind of in detail. The hosts are really only really opening their home and not expected to provide much. But what comes out of these stories that I've kind of read on your website is these bonds of friendship and inviting families down to meals. And it makes such a difference. We know when we see our families at family fun days, just to have those few fleeting minutes of normalcy. So that's
So,
fantastic.
so 2 comments. One, that was pre-COVID. So we got to be the qualification.
Yeah.
Because the marching orders were that hosts and guests interact to the extent they mutually want to. And we trained our hosts to know how to make that proper differentiation. And this is hugs from Ella here. Thank you for putting that up, Sarah. And now during COVID, what we're doing is what we call private setting housing.
Okay.
And that means some type of unit. So for example, the Delaney twins, who, by the way, you mentioned the statistic at the beginning about the 1 whatever, their chances of having survival, I'm told, is 1 in a million at birth. 1 in 10 million at birth. So it's really a miracle. But they're staying at a cottage house that someone has donated to us. And that particular host, they've lodged a half dozen people during COVID where the women have been pregnant with high-risk pregnancies. And as you mentioned, the family did not qualify to stay at the Rob McDonald house because they were siblings. So they couldn't stay there. So that's one of our number 1 clients now. But aside from a cottage house, we have a great partner called Sonder. They have residential apartment units. From the start of the COVID, they donated 60 nights comp to us. And they just passed 500 nights of lodging during COVID. We also have a couple of great partners who've given us the corporate apartments because the associates are working remotely. And the other thing I'll just mention, 2 things. In terms of the type of lodging, people have like in-law suites. So those are for shorter term, but let's say grandma's not flying town because of the COVID, so they make it available to us. And now, in terms of how people can help, the most important thing is so many people are now starting to go away for spring and summer, and if it's for a week or a month or 3 months, we would love to have those units available because our number 1 need is more units. We every day are turning people away because we don't have anything to offer.
That's incredible. Yeah. So that makes a lot of sense how the construct has changed, amidst the pandemic. So really the number 1 need are these private housing, whether it's a cottage, a corporate apartment, maybe it's a couple that are snowbirds and go to a warm climate in the winter. So that really would be the number 1 thing I think we would want to get out there for host for hospitals in terms of their needs. Private setting housing form is available right on their website. They make it easy. So if you're interested, please check them out. Michael, anything else you would like to promote? Anything coming up?
Well, I'll say two things. So what we're doing is having dual housing networks, because now there's so many people being vaccinated, and the CDC says that hosts and guests or individuals can all be together inside if they're all fully vaccinated. When we do have fully vaccinated hosts and fully vaccinated guests, then we will go back, and we are cautiously going back to the host model. But we're always going to have both models now, because there's always going to be someone who's not vaccinated, either because of belief or the person who contacted us for lodging for the lung transplant person, she can't get vaccinated because of her housing condition, her medical condition, or it could be kids who aren't vaccinated. So that's one thing. The second thing, aside from offering lodging of either type, host home or private setting, what's really crucial now is to share and get word out. So if you go to our website on the homepage, at the very top above the fold, there's a sharing page. And on that page, you can go and easily share a story through Facebook or LinkedIn or WhatsApp or Nextdoor. And in fact, one of the stories we have to share is a 15-second promotional video by the Dolan family that you mentioned.
Sure.
Someone who goes to our page can also share text through email very easily. The other point is that the way we're doing this is that we're trying to build, and this is a key word, ongoing relationships with companies so that they can let their associates know. And actually, I want to show something. I don't know if this has been seen by your audience yet. And let me see, I get this right. Okay.
There you go. Yep.
Okay. So this is a gentleman, the guy at the top, Reinhard Cruz. I met him in 2001, one of four ministers in the basement in Fox Chase. I thought nothing would come of it. Maybe nothing came of it. 7 years later, he contacted me back. He had retired. He had saved my card all that time. And he and his wife began lodging guests at the Academy House in Center City. In 2008, they lodged 19 families.
Wow. And
a bunch of points there. You see the patients in a wheelchair. One of our great needs is for stair-free lodging.
Okay.
We also, you have to keep in front of people, because if we do a presentation, another Zoom session, and we would love to do more Zoom sessions, or we go to a place to worship, and someone's not there that day, then they don't know about our program. Or what happens, they aren't ready to move yet. He wasn't ready to move until he retires 7 years later. So what we like to do is have more partners and get ongoing relationships so we can come back and we work with them, not at them. However they do it, they keep word of our program in front of people. And by spreading word, we build an audience and we'll get more people helping out this wonderful way. One last thing.
Sure.
This is what they said, the host of this family. She goes, I've been involved with volunteer work, and community work and church work my whole life, and I can truthfully say that Host for Hospitals is the most rewarding thing we have ever done. So in terms of what you get from our program, the people who do this, they feel wonderful. And for corporations who want to have something meaningful to offer for their coworkers, because now corporations are in competition for millennials, because if you work somewhere, you want to make sure that they are good corporate citizens. This is a great way to be involved.
Absolutely. It all volunteerism and building community goodwill, the work that you're doing, so incredible. And to hear kind of at the end, really the intrinsic reward for the host family. So I'm delighted that you could join us today. The power of the share button, we do a lot of that. So that is a great mechanism. Please visit Host for Hospitals website. We've got the information up there to learn more about it. Very user-friendly website. Thanks for joining me today, Michael.
It's my true pleasure. Thank you so much.
Hey, check us out next week. My mother would hate me using this word, but I'm going to throw it out there. I am so freaking excited next week. We are going to be on site with our longest school partnership, Woodside Christian Preschool up in Yardley, on a 2-day walkathon. We'll be going live from Woodside. So happy to be back in action and person with these phenomenal little people. Please save the date. We're getting close to it. Compassionate Communities Count. All the information is up on our website. Our first virtual event, something that's kind of different for the Dolan Fund. It's going to be a wonderful hour where we're combining impact, inspiration, a little fun through trivia. We have a small but mighty amazing auction up there right now. It is open for the raffles. You can buy raffle tickets, bid on phenomenal baskets, and we'll hope you'll be able to join us that night. Delighted that Susario from Fox 29, who's usually with us in person, will also be there with us tonight. Make it a great week, everyone.